Hi, I'm Andy. I'm president of THT, Transfers Helping Transfers. We have Rachel, president of CodeEd, with us also.
Hi, I'm Rachel. I'm president of CodeEd. Hello, I am Kathleen. Oh, here I am. I am vice president of both CodeEd and THT.
And I am Owen, secretary of CodeEd.
And we're going to do a LinkedIn and online resume workshop today. We're going to skill you up on why you should have a LinkedIn, and we're going to show you how to make an online resume. All right, so what is LinkedIn? It's the largest professional network on the internet. You can use it to find jobs, internships, connect and strengthen professional relationships, and learn the skills you need to succeed in your career. As you heard people talking before, everybody's using it to meet other people in the industries that they're interested in. And this doesn't just apply to tech jobs, this applies to everything. 87% of recruiters are regularly using LinkedIn these days. And I've already had several people contact me at various points, whether it be recruiters, individuals from actual companies, to have conversations. They are searching actively through their databases for people that have keywords that match whatever it is that they're looking for. You should use it because you can establish yourself as a professional. You can add all your stuff from school, all your classes. You can build a brand, just like on other social media, where you are sharing things that make people think of you in a certain way, make you think you're funny, or make you think you're, caring, or, care about the environment. You can do the same thing on LinkedIn, but base it around your professional brand, how you want people to think of you in the workforce. They also have certifications, and you can show your skills in various things like Excel and Word. Google has Docs on there. Lots of companies have little quizzes, and they certify you, LinkedIn certified that you passed a minimum knowledge of things on there. And it's a good way also to keep up with your classmates and where they're all going. In the future, you may want to change jobs, and you may realize that you have a classmate that you worked with that works at a company that you're interested in, and may be able to get you a leg up in getting in.
I would also like to add something. LinkedIn's actually how I connected with people to get a full-time job. So even if you honestly, 2 years ago, I knew what LinkedIn was, and I knew people had LinkedIn's, and I just wasn't one of those people that was going to make one. I kind of thought it was silly. But then I was able to use it to connect with employers, and I was actually able to connect enough to get a job out of it. So it is definitely super important in the professional world.
You can also join groups on there. Just throw that in there. You can join in with groups that match things you are interested in professionally, whether it be coding groups or real estate groups or whatever. It's a really useful tool. So you want to be able to highlight your education as a new entrant into the job market. Show off what you've done. Don't just list that you've been in school. Put your accomplishments. Put that you made the president's list. Put that you were in clubs and that you were an officer in a club. Anything that put that you got scholarships, that you got awards. It goes back to the brand, to branding yourself. It shows that you participate in your community. At school, you didn't just go to school and just get good grades. You got good grades and you participated. You gave something back into your community. And employers want to see that, because especially a lot of the big employers, they have things where they're connected to their communities, where they do volunteer things. They want to get involved with the local universities and stuff like that. And to see that you are somebody who will participate just highlights you even more. Put that you had internships or even coffee shops or wherever it is you worked, at Walmart or at McDonald's. It shows that you have work experience, regardless of which industry it was. They know that you have the ability to work. They can call somebody. You show up on time. You got the job done. maybe you got promoted a couple times to shift manager. Highlight that stuff if that's all you got. As you go on in your professional career and you're working into your industry, you might want to take some of that off and just highlight the things that pertain directly to it. But while you're starting, put everything on there. And also there is a spot on there where you can put your actual resume, your paper resume. It's the one that they can download, so they get a better picture of, clear cut what you're doing. We'll talk about Kathy, did you want to talk about the resume now?
Now, with your resume, you definitely want it to be straightforward. You want it to be professional, because with big companies, it's normally not going to be a person. A person is not going to be the first person who's going to look at your resume. It's going to be software. They're picking out words, they're picking out different skills that they want to sort through resumes to pick out the ones that they need out of hundreds. They have hundreds to look at. So I would say look up keywords that you want to put on your resume to kind of make it stand out according to the company that you're applying for. So, for example, we're not using pronouns either. We're not saying I, me, we, she, he. We're making it as plain and straightforward as possible. So, for example, this resume, I pulled a template off Yale. So it's so simple. You just go on Google, you type in Yale resume templates, and they have about 15 that you can choose from. I personally chose a STEM resume template because I'm in cyber criminology, and at the end you can see I have relevant coursework and I have skills that would be relevant to the job that I'm going to apply for. You also always want to include any club or organizational leadership that you've had, of course, experience, and start off with your education. So education kind of varies whether you put your high school information or not. Like, for example, I've heard from some companies that they want to hear about your high school experience just because it gives them a better idea of who you are, and some companies don't. So that's where research about who you're applying to really matters, because of course, typically they also only want your resume to be 1 page long. They have hundreds to look at, like I said. So you really want to make it compact and you want to make it as straightforward as possible. Right here to kind of go into detail about relevant coursework, it's only really matters, I would say, when you're just graduating, just finding a job. I want to do this when you're, 25, 30, it's already a little bit too late for that. But when you're first looking for a job outside of college, it kind of gives employers a better idea of what you know and what you're capable of. And it also gives an explanation as to what your skills are. So to explain a little bit about that, for example, I have MIPS assembly here. I didn't just learn that on my own. So if they were to ask me, how do you know this? I would say, well, if you can see back to my relevant coursework, I took a course that taught me this. And that kind of gives an example. You can also include projects, personal projects or projects you've done for school, if you would like. That also help to explain what you have on your resume, because you need to be prepared to answer any questions that they would have about it.
All right, so when you're creating your LinkedIn profile, there's several key steps here that you want to take into account. Definitely use a professional picture. CCI will have an event or two a semester of having a resume, a headshot workshop. Somebody will come in, take pictures, they'll get posted, you'll be able to download it. You come in dressed up nice during one of the meetings, and we'll get that taken care of. I think we already did one this year, right? So we'll try to hold another one later on this year or this semester. Background photo, that's this right here. It's a plain static background to begin with, but you can make it your own. I went in Canva and created a banner and, branded it a little bit, put my website on it. And your headline should be more than just your job. It's say something about who you are. Give them a reason to continue reading. The summary is your story. Tell them a little bit about yourself. Again, keep them reading, looking over. You want them to get to the point where they're going to download your resume and look you over and put you in the pile of candidates to consider. Don't overuse the buzzwords. Like what Kathy was saying, you don't use pronouns, use action verbs, but don't get crazy with describing stuff. You assisted in this, not you assisted excellently in something. You don't describe how well you did something, just actually what you did. Grow your network. After this, we got a couple of us that you can add to your network, and you start adding people after that. Your classmates, when you've been in class with them, you guys should be swapping LinkedIn profiles, because somebody's going to know somebody. You'll see when people start commenting in LinkedIn, it'll have like a first, second, third, and it'll tell you if you're actually connected to that person or if it's somebody that's connected to someone you know. And you may be able to reach out to them. Put your relevant skills. Playing the violin, unless you're going to be a musician, isn't something you should put on there. It may be interesting. You can put it somewhere else. We can do that on the online profile, on the online resume, but on LinkedIn, it needs to be directed directly towards whatever job it is that you're going for. If you do certain things, if you can code, if you moonlight and build websites for people, put that on there. Endorse others. A few of us in the room here have said, hey, I've worked with so-and-so, they're a good manager, or that they have good editing skills on video, and people will list their skills. You can go in and endorse their skills. They'll endorse you back, especially if you've worked with them already. But manage your endorsements. Not everybody is great at describing their friends and their coworkers. So sometimes you can have to go in there and kind of cut some of them off, so that way they show you in a certain light. You don't want it to look bad on you just because somebody wasn't very good at describing what you did. Do the skills assessments. We talked about that already. Those are just little quizzes, assessments that you can show that you actually have basic knowledge of whatever you're saying you have a skill in. If you say that you're good at Excel, they're going to test you on Excel, and they're going to see that you actually know how to look up the little codes and create boxes and drag and drop stuff around, and you can showcase your passion for learning. Again, that goes back to showing what you were involved in at school. If later on in life too, you come back to school, put that back on there, put that you're working on your master's, even if you're just taking one class at a time. It shows that you're continuing your education. Employers like that. Share media and marketing collateral and content, but make sure it's relevant. I've noticed a trend on LinkedIn lately where people are sharing personal stuff, and it's kind of off-putting because you're building a network of professionals that are in the same industry as you. And when they're putting their personal opinions out there and stuff, you kind of don't want to, you're trying to filter that out because you're trying to look for things that apply to a career, to a job. And that's what LinkedIn's supposed to be about. If you get published, share your publications, comment on people's content. LinkedIn is really big about sharing your comments with your network. So be polite, be kind, be constructive in whatever you have to say, because it's going to come back and look at you. Somebody that you don't even know on somebody else's profile is going to see that you commented on one of their friends, one of their connections posts, and you may sound interesting to them, and they may reach out to want to connect with you and say, hey, I liked what you wrote. You had a good opinion on something. And I've had a few people that have reached out to me after a comment and said, hey, I noticed we're at the, you caught my attention. I noticed we're at the same school, can I add you as a contact? Yeah, you can follow influencers. And by that, meaning you can follow Microsoft, you can follow Amazon, Epic Healthcare, any of the leaders in the industry that you're trying to follow. They're posting content that may just be good advice for working in the industry. And it adds, especially when you're just starting out and you don't have everybody else, you don't have a large network, you're getting some content, and being able to put the platform to use. Become an advocate and start conversations. Promote your friends, lift each other up, be positive, and also share longer content. If you have a paper from class that was relevant to what you're doing in a job or what you want to do in a job, post those. People can find them interesting. They want to read what people are researching, and you'll get people commenting, and next thing you know, it'll blow up. I posted a little something when I graduated with my bachelor's. I had thousands of people that gave me a thumbs up. I don't have thousands of people in my network, but
I would also like to add on to that. I posted something about getting a job, and I posted about the job, and it got a lot of reach from many different people, especially people at that company. There were people all the way in, China working for Citi that were commenting, congratulations, welcome to the team. You get so much reach because the way LinkedIn works is that when someone likes a post, it pops up in whoever's following them's timeline. So think about it. If you have 200 people liking your picture, they all have different connections. Their connections will see that picture. So it's a really good thing just to make a post when something big happens in your life, because you don't really know how much reach it gets. I do know a couple people from FSU who posted, their jobs graduating, and a lot of those went viral on LinkedIn because of how many connections were, the connections liking the connections and so on. So that's just a good point to add. And making sure that you post on LinkedIn. I know one of Eve's favorite things to say in leadership is that you should post what do you say, weekly? Okay, so posting weekly is also a good way to build your LinkedIn profile as well.
Again, make it good content. Make it relevant content. Make it. I personally try to limit how much I post, and when I do, I try to make it relevant to me. I don't randomly click on a lot of posts liking stuff. If it's something that I want to be connected to and associated with, so anything you're doing on LinkedIn, you're associated with it. When you like a post, when you comment on a post, when it spreads. So think about if you're clicking on political ads and liking them, yeah, I would avoid that. Yeah.
I don't think they realize that other people can see that they like a certain post.
Right.
I'll have some connections where I'll literally show
And that
unconnected
affects your brand.
So, because there's some definitely ugly political posts get made on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
There are literal business professionals posting about how they're anti-vaccine or whatever on LinkedIn, and it's what are you doing? And then you see people in your connections liking them, and then all of a sudden it's just you're why am I connected with this person?
Right.
So be very, very careful about what you like.
Right.
I think a lot of people could use that lesson.
Yeah. How many connections do you need to get an internship or a job?
I wrote this, so I'll talk about
Okay.
it.
All right.
So I personally don't think yes, having more connections is, good. I would say obviously the more you have, the better it is for when you post stuff. But at the same time, I feel if you're just using LinkedIn to look for a career, it doesn't really matter how many connections you have as long as the ones you do have are meaningful to you. So how, Sebastian was saying how he wants to work at Bungie. Is that what it was called?
Yeah,
so you want to connect with people that work there. Okay, you don't need 500 connections from random businesses if you really focused on one company. So I would think that it doesn't really matter how many connections you have. A lot of people are oh, you're so cool, you have the 500 plus on your LinkedIn. That does not matter at all. Even if you have 200 connections and half of those are relevant to you, that is really what matters the most. And then also another tip is don't be intimidated by others' profiles. What I just said, how people are oh, you have 500 plus, and that intimidates people. Don't be intimidated. Connections are easy to get. And the meaningful ones are actually, I would say, more difficult to get in the way that you actually need to message them and talk to them and build a relationship with them. So at the end of the day, the number of connections that you have doesn't really matter. I would focus on making your LinkedIn you know, with what Andy has said in the past slides, work on building your resume. I mean, making it look good. Don't worry about how many connections you have. I honestly don't think it is that big of a deal as long as you are using those connections and they're relevant to you. And also another tip is that honesty is the best policy on LinkedIn. I have heard of people fabricating things on LinkedIn to make themselves look better. Don't do that. Just don't do that. But there's no point in doing that. Like, it's silly. You know, your friends will know it's fake, so just don't do that.
So again, you know, how many connections do you need? You just need one, you know, and a little help from your smartphone. If you haven't already started a LinkedIn, this QR code will just go straight to LinkedIn. Take 5 minutes, maybe start one. Do you guys already have one? All right, so if you're already on LinkedIn, we'll put the slides out and you'll be able to click on them and the things, so it'll have, you know, some of us in there where you can add us as connection. One of the things that you should do that a lot of people don't, especially your classmates and stuff, when you send a connection request, send a message. Get in the habit of sending a message. I get so many requests because I know Eve's sharing my profile in class, and I get a lot of people that I don't know who are in the IT program request, and I look at their profiles. I'm like, they're in the IT program. I'm like, he must have been talking about LinkedIn in class. And so, you know, send a note. Hi, you don't know me. Your profile was shown. This is where I got your connection from. This is what I'm interested in. You know, just a little something. Make a connection with the person. So many people just blanket add me. And right now, while I've been in school, I've been adding them so they can grow their network. But when I leave school, it will be, unless you send me a message to say, hey, this is where I got your profile, I'll slow my roll on adding all those connections. So, you know, something to consider there.
I would definitely change write a custom message. I feel like if I ever got a custom message, that would be so cool.
Yeah, I've had a couple.
I'd be like, oh my gosh, of course we can connect.
I've had a couple. If people come to your class to give presentations that have been invited by the professors, a lot of them will leave their LinkedIn information, and they're more than willing to connect. Now you have somebody in the industry who can be a connection for you. Definitely let's send a message along with the connection with them. You know, thank you for showing up to class today. We enjoyed your presentation. You may be contacting that person in the future about, hey, I'm looking for a job, you know, and your company's hiring this position. They may be able to help you out. They may remember you for actually sending that message. All right, so Wix is an online website builder. You can make any kind of website. You can make storefronts. You can make regular resumes. You can make profiles. You can make one about cats if you want. It's a drag and drop. They have templates, and they allow you to move and shuffle things around and change the pictures and add your own text and make it your own. The picture up there is my current active one. I have a new one I'm working on. This kind of had to hit some points for class project, but you can kind of see, you know, it's similar to LinkedIn where, you know, you've got a banner and, you know, quick information. I've got my website on there. My personal website that I actually hand coded leads back to Wix, my Wix one, and they kind of serve to highlight different things. Yeah, I have an HTML hand coded website. It's very 90s looking. It's like with a green background, and it's just basic text and a couple of pictures, a couple of little floating boxes. But I use that as my go-to website. And then from there, you can get to Wix, which kind of highlights a little bit more of the online resume itself. I treat more like a regular resume, everything in a dedicated order.
I think that's what Wix should be used for more so if you want to hand code your own website, I love them. I know Sebastian, I'm pretty sure, has one that he did himself.
Oh, yeah, that's like,
Um, but with those, I feel like you could make that more personal.
Yeah.
Talk about like your hobbies, you know, what kind of person
Yeah,
you are.
I
Whereas,
say,
like on the online resume using Wix, like just put your resume. Like you don't need to like do anything else. I feel
see,
like
I do the opposite. I keep my online resume more like a traditional resume and
That's
keep
what I
it.
was saying.
Yeah,
online resume more traditional.
But the Wix I use to kind of highlight some more of the fun stuff. I'll put some of my hobbies on there. You know, I collect vinyl records and have a lot of stereo
I feel
gear.
like it could go both
So
ways.
I'll
Like,
put some of that on there. So kind of pick a direction and like make one for one thing and one the other.
So why create a personal website? Honestly, it makes you look more impressive. Like, yes, these are all great things, but in general, if you have your own site that you did yourself, it makes you look impressive. Like that's really the bottom of it. Yes, it does help recruiters find you easier. You do gain a competitive advantage simply because it makes you look impressive. It boosts your chance of landing a job again, because it makes you look impressive. The freedom to be creative, yes, because with Wix, at least, I know with that website builder, you can kind of choose, you know, any style you want and go off of it. Mine, I chose like a very basic one, but I know other people who have done a lot with their Wix sites. It is definitely more dynamic than a paper resume, which if you are an IT or ICT major, you will take LIS 4708 IT professions as one of your capstone courses before you graduate. And they'll talk about a lot about why this is important. And it helps you acquire new skills. Again, if you're using Wix, you're probably not going to be doing any coding, but there are a couple people who do end up coding their own sites in that class, which is really cool. Yeah,
Showing that you know how to use Wix.
you know, that
If
shows
you're
another
going
skill.
for, it's like I wanted to do web development. And so by having my personal website that I hand coded and Wix, it shows that I'm familiar with industry tools.
Yeah.
There's a lot of companies that, and you can kind of tell. 'cause a lot of
WordPress
times
is
it's at the
also a
bottom
really
that
good
it's
thing to be
designed
comfortable
for this.
with.
Yeah. and
WordPress is a really
a
good
lot of
one.
companies don't want a hand coded website. They want a Wix flashy site, you know, and if you're going for web development, well, you need to know how to use those tools
For sure.
for that. So it's just highlighting that you have multiple skills.
That is another good point. Knowing how to use things like Wix, WordPress is another huge one that I mean, I'm serious. Like I was asking one of my friends who designs websites for people, and he actually said that a lot of companies literally ask for WordPress. Like they will literally come to him and be like, "Can you build me a WordPress site?" And he's like, "Are you serious? Like that's what you want?" But a lot of companies are very, very into WordPress. So that's another good one to look at into
Wix
learning.
has a standalone editor where you can start with a blank sheet as well.
Yeah.
And I'm playing with it with a couple of different projects at the moment. And it's very drag and drop, and you can get very granular with it without having to hard code something, but you have all the options that you would with hard code, where you can get very specific with it to change dynamics as you change to different devices. So, you know, there's Wix isn't just drag and drop.
But it is very simple to use. Anybody
Right.
can do this. Like there's no reason to be intimidated in having one of these because they have made it so easy. I'm just gonna go ahead and pull up these 3 examples to kind of show you guys like 3 different like styles, I guess, because I think we all have something different regarding style. This is also free. So there's no money involved. You're not paying unless you want to host it by yourself.
If you're gonna use it as a major avenue for getting information about you out, spend a couple bucks and buy your domain.
Yeah, then you
So
can. Then
it's
you're
not,
gonna.
you know, BR20 at Wix site.
Mhm.
You know, have it as BrandonRogers.com. You know, you can buy a URL and buy a domain and have a personalized site. It's hosted through Wix, but they make it easy in the Wix process to go about doing that.
Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and start at Andy's. I mean, this is what he chose to do. You can choose there's so many different styles on Wix to pick from. This is just what he chose. He probably did this in 4708. So
it's a little older. It needs to be
Yeah.
updated. I got a new one on my.
So in this class, there are like specific requirements that you have to have on your resume to get a good grade. I believe from this is mine, it was, you had to have your resume, and then you had to have like projects you worked on. And I think you had to have 2 projects at minimum that you worked on like during your time here. I actually did this my junior year, I think, or maybe the end of my sophomore year. Truth is, I probably should have taken this class right now, but for some reason, the CCI didn't have any more classes for me to take, so I took this early. So this hasn't been updated. It was the battery. So this hasn't been updated in a bit, but it's at least, I mean, it does its job. This is what I have for the online resume part. I was a software developer intern, so I have that on there. I have the dates that I worked there, and then I have the title, the company, the location of the company. I also wrote a little description about it. Same thing here. I used to work at the help desk for a little bit before I worked as a software developer intern. So I also have a couple other different work experiences that I've had since then, but I haven't added those to this yet because I just really haven't had the time. With that being said, I also included my education, and then I also included some of my memberships and awards that I've earned here while at FSU. And then I also have at the very bottom, I have my skills, and then I have them ranked in stars. I did this because, you know, I just wanted to be a little different. I didn't want to just list my skills. I just wanted to show like how proficient I believe I am at each thing. And then languages, obviously I only know English, so. But I believe you're also supposed to have an about me page from 4708. I think you're supposed to. And then you write a little blurb about yourself and like what you did. And then I also included, you know, my little thing to my LinkedIn that you can click on. So that's also useful. And then with my project section, at this point, I think I'd only taken this class. So I don't really have any like huge projects on here. This was from C++. We designed this whole little like game for our final assignment, which is really cool. So I talked about this. And then I also did my advanced web apps class, and then I have a link to my Bitbucket, which is on public that you can click to, and you can see like the work that I did in the course.
Your internship or your jobs that you're working while you're in college, if you do a big project for those jobs, you can list those in there also. One of the things during one of my internships is I created a request for proposal to create a new video recording system for the department. And I had a whole thing. I listed the whole proposal so people could see that I created it as a separate page so you could see everything that I had worked on, you know, with me at the end. So, you know, it's not just class projects.
Yeah.
You know, remember that as you go on in your career, you know, maybe keep a notepad, you know, something on your phone where, you know, you got through a particularly tough time or something on the job, and then update your resume, your online resume with stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're younger and all you have is, you know, school projects, which in my case, even with my internship, our internship couldn't really be, you can't post anything about it because it was with the government. So like, that's not something that we can really talk about. But there are other internships that you can get that you work on your, you know, a project that isn't going to affect the company directly. If it is going to affect the company directly, do not post it anywhere because you will probably get in trouble. So don't do that.
Would you say that it's probably better if you just state what you worked with?
Yes.
For example,
So with me, look at mine. All I did when I talked about my internship, I mean, you can literally use this exact thing word for word if you really wanted to. So this is like what I talked about for our internship. I know that we had the same one, so you can kind of use this.
Mine is much more concise. Mine is just modernized. Something about modernization using Java.
Well, you can, you know, add in more like technical language if you want it to sound better.
I actually created separate pages on for my projects, and I put the whole project in there because they were projects I could share. They were class projects, you know, and you got to see like all the steps of everything that was involved. They were group projects. So it's like, okay, this person participated in a group project, was all involved somewhere in here, you know, because I can't remember from 6 semesters ago what it was I did exactly on my project, but I was involved. So.
So I was gonna show kind of the basics of creating one. I don't know if my account will let me make another one without me paying, but we're just gonna try. I mean, I can go to edit site and just kind of edit it
No,
from
you
there.
can add it. You can add another one.
I can?
You can start fresh. Go back.
I just don't want to delete the one that I have. So I didn't know if you can make more than one on a Wix account. If you are in the audience, you can go ahead and travel to the Wix site and you can create an account. With that being said, when you create an account, what I would do if you're doing an online resume is click on portfolio. This will give you like different styles that are going to look like resumes, so it'll be easier to build. So I'll just go ahead and click on that. What do you want to add to your site? So this also gives you like little things that you can add to your site. With this case, I'm not going to be including any of this because this is more for business. With that being said, you don't have to do any of these recommended for you. Like you don't have to do this. You can either let Wix do it for you or you can create your website with the editor. I would recommend just doing the editor. That way you can actually get things the way that you like them. In that case, this is what this is one of the things that the style that I chose was the business CV because it had everything that I needed. It had the resume, it had a project section, it had everything that I needed for the course. If you are doing a resume, I would stick to the CV ones because they will be more already set up for you to use, and it won't be as difficult to, you know, make the site. But you don't. Do you have to click a style? I think you do.
No, you can do a blank.
Or you can do a blank page and add things yourself.
I got one that I'm working on.
I'm not going to do that because for sake of time, but I'm just going to click on academic CV and just see what it looks like. This editor is so easy to use. I mean,
Yeah.
you can click a style and it'll load up for you and you can start making your changes like immediately. Let's see
All
if
the
it loads.
settings are already there
Yeah.
for adjusting for different screen sizes, and all you're doing is like replacing words and photos.
All right. So here's the pages tab. This one only has a home page and like a contact me page, which here you go. With the home page to edit it, I mean, yes, it looks like there's a picture already on there, but all you have to do is like replace this picture with one of your own. It is super easy. I can't really replace a picture with one of my own right now because I don't have my pictures on this computer, but I can just kind of show how you do it. To change the pictures, change image, you go to upload media.
You can, media from Wix.
Media from Wix. Okay.
Just for the sake of.
I'm just gonna put something in random because I don't really have like, okay, let's see. That did not work. I don't really know how to use the media from Wix, but double click it. Oh, there we go. So that's how you change a picture. It's pretty basic. You can add cute little like GIF things in here if you want. You can find GIFs on the internet. It's the same process as changing an image. You just change the image. Editing text, also super easy. Literally all you do is just set. That's all you do. Super easy. If you want to change colors, I believe you can do that too. You can change the background and then you can change it to something like this, which I think this actually matches the overall template more than the blue did. So that's also super easy to do. And then you can also add links, I believe. So if you want to like, I think LinkedIn is probably the best, the most professional option here. If you want to do a link, I'm trying to think, can I do it this way? I don't know if I can do it this way. Let me see if there's a built-in links at the bottom. So there is. So this is where I would set your links, is at the bottom of each of these CV templates. There usually is like 4 little pictures of social medias, different social medias. I personally wasn't gonna flex my Instagram on my resume.
I put my Instagram because my Instagram is full of pictures of all my records. So it's like, I do it because it's like, the way I've used the Wix site was to show a little bit more of the fun side of me. Like the online resume, the hand-coded one, it's a little bit more serious. Wix one's a little bit more loose.
Yeah.
So I
You
throw
can-
the
You can do it the way he did it, or you can do it the opposite. It really doesn't matter. In this case, I just use mine like as like a professional only. So I only use LinkedIn. So to make these icons track to your LinkedIn, all you do is just change this right here to your LinkedIn. I'm not going to do it, but it's easy. Like do we even have a LinkedIn pulled up? No, we don't. But you just copy and paste your LinkedIn on here. And then when you click on the icon, it will actually take you to your LinkedIn. So, and anybody viewing it will have the same experience. I personally didn't have TikTok, Facebook, or Instagram on mine. But obviously it's up to you and what you're using your site for. In this case, we're focusing on a resume.
You may have a small business on the side, or
Right.
you may be working on being an influencer. So you may want to put
Yeah.
all those social media.
Yeah, if you're interested in social media marketing,
Yes.
it's important. Put
Yeah.
your Instagram on it. They want to see that. They want to see that you know how to manage content. And if you do that with your own personal Instagram, or you have another Instagram that you use, I know a lot of people have photography accounts that they do like specific content on. So if that is up your alley, then definitely put that Instagram that's your project on there for sure. I don't know about TikTok or what you'd be doing with that, but maybe if you have a TikTok where you post content and it's, a project, then sure, add it. But yeah, I mean, you would just change this. You could do it the exact same way as the template had it. You could leave this as, hey, I'm your name, and then you can put some little adjectives about yourself, a picture, your headshot here, a little about me paragraph about yourself. With these, I don't know if these are like you click on them. It doesn't really say. I'm still curious as to how. Do you know how to add a link to these? Oh, wait, right here. I got it.
Yeah.
So this is how you add a link to these. And then you just put in the web address right here. If you want the first one, your Facebook, to lead to your Facebook page, post your Facebook URL right in here. And when you click on that, it'll take you to your Facebook page. The same goes for each of these. Again, I would focus on the LinkedIn being the most important one. With your resume, this is also something that I did on my own. You can link your resume to it by doing an upload. So that's really cool. You should definitely do that. Here it is, document. You just choose file and you just click on it and it will download your resume to whoever's clicking on it. So I think that's also another really important thing to have on your Wix. With that being said, if you want to add more pages to your Wix, with this one, it's kind of one big page, which I kind of like this because it's just very straightforward. You scroll down and you see all your skills, your education. It's very, very simple. But if you are one of those people who wants to design your own page, to add another page, you just go right here to site pages and you add, and then you can choose either from, styles that Wix has already created, or you can design your own with a blank page. That being said, Wix is very, very simple to use. Do you have any questions, Lisa? No, it's very easy. Also, I would definitely have a contact page on your Wix. I do. That way, if when a potential employer does see it and they want to reach out, they can message you and it'll go to your email, I believe.
On the contact, you have to set like where it's going.
Yeah, I would send it to your email. But yeah, that's about it with the creating a Wix. I mean, it's very simple. But if you have any questions, you can always ask us. So with that being said, we're kind of at the end here.
Yeah.
These are Linktree QR codes. If you scan them, you'll get all of our social medias to follow us, stay in contact about our next events. If you want to go ahead and scan those.
All right, so that was our presentation for the day. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you at our next presentation.